The great station of Zerath Prime hung above the blue clouds of a living world. Its shining towers were built from glass metal, glowing with lines of soft green energy. The place was quiet and peaceful, but for one human inside it, peace was not so simple. Elias Ward walked through the long hallways of the alien palace with his head low. He wore the gray uniform of the Human Engineering Corps. His eyes were tired and his face showed the kind of man who had seen too much war and wanted nothing more than silence. Every day he came to repair machines or guide his small human team, and every evening he left before the Queen arrived. Everyone on the station noticed that the human engineer avoided royal meetings. When other humans and aliens gathered in the Grand Hall, Elias always found an excuse to stay in the lower levels. He said he was checking the reactors or fixing damaged circuits. He always had work to do. No one questioned him, except one. Queen Alara of Zerath was a being of silver skin and violet eyes that glowed softly in the dark. Her long hair shimmered like threads of starlight, and when she spoke, her voice carried calm power. She was young for a queen, but had ruled through years of rebuilding after the war. Her people called her the Queen of Renewal. Humans called her the one who ended the fire. But for some reason, she could not ignore one quiet human who kept running away from her. On that day, the Queen held a meeting with the human ambassador and her council. The topic was trade routes between Earth and Zerath. As the talk went on, she noticed the human engineer was missing again. "Where is Engineer Ward?" she asked. "He reported a reactor maintenance issue, Your Grace," replied one of her advisors. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "For the third time this month?" The advisor nodded nervously. "Yes, Queen Alara. He said it was urgent." She said nothing more, but inside her mind, curiosity began to stir. After the meeting ended, she stood by the large window that looked over the stars. The reflection of her face shone in the glass. "There is something strange about that human," she whispered. "He hides from me as if he fears being seen." Later that evening, while Elias worked alone near the core chamber, the sound of the heavy door sliding open made him freeze. He turned slowly, expecting to see one of his team members. Instead, he saw her. Queen Alara walked in quietly, her royal cloak flowing behind her. The lights of the machines reflected off her silver skin. Elias dropped the tool in his hand. "Your Majesty," he said quickly, bowing slightly. "You should not be here. The radiation levels are unstable." She stepped closer. "You think I fear this place, human? I have stood on battlefields worse than this." Elias stayed silent, trying to focus on his control panel. "I am just doing my duty, Your Grace. Please allow me to finish the work." She did not move. Her eyes studied him carefully. "You have avoided me for many weeks, Engineer Ward. Every time I hold council, you find a reason to be somewhere else." He tried to answer, but words did not come. The Queen walked closer until she stood right behind him. Then gently but firmly, she placed her hand on his shoulder. "Why do you keep avoiding me, human?" she asked. The room was silent except for the soft hum of energy. Elias felt the weight of her question. It was not a voice of anger. It was a voice of confusion, almost sadness. "I have no reason, Your Majesty," he said after a pause. "I only do my work." She tilted her head slightly. "Lies are not your strength, Elias Ward. I can see fear in your eyes, but it is not fear of me. It is fear of memory." He looked away, his hands trembling slightly. "Your Grace, please do not speak of things that no longer matter." "Everything matters," she replied. "The past builds the bridge to peace. I want to understand you. You helped rebuild the reactor systems that power my city. You brought light where there was ruin. Why hide?" Elias sighed. He wanted to tell her the truth, but feared what would happen if she knew. He remembered fire and smoke, the day when humans and Zerath soldiers fought under a red sky. He remembered carrying a wounded alien through the burning ruins of a city, not knowing she was royalty. He took a small step back. "I am a simple engineer, Queen Alara. I have no importance in your world." The Queen studied him, her eyes calm but sharp. "You think humility hides truth? It does not. I have seen you in my dreams, human. Long before the peace treaty, I saw a man in gray armor who carried me through fire. His eyes were the same as yours." Elias's face went pale. "That is impossible, is it?" she said quietly. "You may not believe in memory that travels beyond time, but I do. I have seen the truth in dreams." "I want to hear it from you," he shook his head. "It would only bring trouble if I spoke." "Trouble for who?" For both of us, he said. She looked at him for a long moment. The hum of the reactor filled the silence. Then she slowly withdrew her hand from his shoulder. Very well, Engineer Ward. I will not force your words today. But know this. Peace cannot survive if truth hides in shadows. Whatever it is you fear, it will find you and it will find me. She turned to leave, her steps silent against the metal floor. Before she reached the door, she looked back once more. When you are ready to speak, she said, you will find me where the stars meet the sea. Do not wait too long. When she was gone, Elias stood alone, his heart pounding. He sat on the edge of the platform, staring at the glowing reactor core below. The color of its light reminded him of the fire from the war. He whispered to himself, why did she have to remember? The door slid open again, and his fellow engineer, a young woman named Kara, stepped in. She looked worried. Elias, what happened? The Queen herself was here. Everyone is talking about it. Elias nodded slowly. I know. Kara looked around nervously. People say she touched your shoulder and asked you something strange. Is that true? He gave a weak smile. Yes, she asked why I keep avoiding her. Kara's eyes widened. And what did you say? I said nothing useful, he replied. But she already knows too much, Kara frowned. What do you mean? Elias looked at the glowing energy streams and said quietly, it means the past is waking up. Later that night, in her private chamber, Queen Alara stood before a silver mirror. The reflection shimmered as she touched its surface, activating a memory crystal. Images flickered, fire, smoke, and a human soldier carrying her through destruction. His voice in the dream was calm, even as the world burned. You are safe now, he had said long ago. She whispered to the reflection. So it was you, Elias Ward. You were the one who saved me. Her heart felt strange. She could not understand why a human would risk his life for her people when they were enemies. The thought stayed with her all night. On the lower decks, Elias sat beside a small window looking at the stars. He took out a broken piece of metal from his pocket, a symbol from a fallen Zerath soldier. It was the only thing he had kept from that day. He closed his eyes and said softly, some truths can end peace if told too soon. Far outside the station, the lights of ships passed like moving stars. The fragile peace between humans and Zerath still held, but tension was growing again. Rumors had begun spreading about secret weapons and betrayal. Neither Elias nor the Queen knew that their meeting that night had already been seen by hidden eyes. In the dark corners of the palace, someone had recorded every word, every gesture. The watchers whispered, the Queen shows favor to a human. This will not be allowed. And so while one human tried to forget the past and one Queen tried to uncover it, forces in the shadows prepared to use that truth as a weapon. But for now, the question still echoed in Elias's mind like a whisper that would not fade. Why do you keep avoiding me, human? He did not yet know that this single question would change the fate of two worlds. The next morning, Elias woke early, his mind still heavy from the night before. The Queen's voice echoed inside his thoughts as he walked through the metallic halls of the Zerath station. Every sound felt sharper than usual. Every step reminded him of a past he wanted to forget. He had not slept. Each time he closed his eyes, the old memory came back. The sky of red clouds, the smell of burning metal, and the sight of an alien city falling apart. It was a memory from 10 years ago, during the last great war between humans and the Zerath Dominion. Elias had been a young soldier back then, not yet an engineer. He had joined the defense forces to serve his planet, to fight for what he thought was justice. But when the fighting reached Zerath Prime, he saw what war really meant. That day, his squad had been ordered to destroy a key power station deep inside alien territory. The city had already fallen into chaos. Buildings collapsed under the fire and smoke covered the stars. The soldiers moved through broken streets, wearing breathing masks to survive the toxic air. Elias remembered hearing a weak voice calling for help from under the ruins of a burning tower. His commander told him to ignore it. They had to move fast. But something inside Elias would not let him leave. He ran toward the voice, ignoring orders. Under a broken steel beam, he found a wounded alien woman. Her silver skin was darkened with dust and ash. Her leg was trapped under debris. She looked frightened but alive. Elias dropped his weapon and used both hands to lift the beam. His suit sensors screamed from the heat, but he kept going until she was free. The woman tried to speak, but he could not understand her language at the time. Still, her eyes met his, and he saw something he had never seen in an enemy: fear mixed with hope. He carried her through the smoke, hiding from patrol drones. When they reached a safe tunnel, he gave her water and tried to treat her wounds. He wanted to call for help, but no human command center would allow a rescue for an enemy. So he made his own choice. He took a small med kit, patched her leg, and left her near an evacuation point before his squad returned. When he looked back, one last time, she raised her hand as if trying to thank him. That image stayed with him forever. He never knew her name, and after the war ended, he believed she had died. He never expected that woman to be the queen herself. Now, years later, Elias stood inside the same palace built on the ashes of that destroyed city. And that same woman ruled over a kingdom that had chosen peace with humans. He could not understand why fate had brought them together again. As he entered the engineering bay, Kara noticed the tired look on his face. "You look like you did not sleep," she said quietly. Elias smiled faintly. "Sleep and I are not good friends these days." She leaned closer. "Is this about the queen?" He hesitated. "Maybe. She remembers something that could destroy everything we built." Kara frowned. "Then maybe you should tell her the truth before someone else does." He shook his head. "If she knows I was the soldier who saved her, it will cause trouble. Many on her council still hate humans. They would use that truth against her." Before Kara could answer, a signal appeared on the control screen. A royal meeting had been called again, and all senior engineers were ordered to attend. Elias felt a chill. He knew he could not avoid the queen any longer. When he reached the grand hall, hundreds of humans and Zerath stood together under glowing banners. Queen Alara sat on her throne of silver stone, her face calm but unreadable. Her eyes found Elias at once. "Engineer Ward," she said softly. "Join me." The crowd went silent as Elias walked forward. He bowed, trying to appear calm. "Your Majesty," he said. The queen stood. "The human colonies on Titan have agreed to share their reactor technology with us. You will oversee the installation here. I trust your skills." Elias nodded. "Yes, Your Grace." Her tone softened. "Do you trust yourself, Elias Ward?" The question caught him off guard. "I do, Your Grace." "Good," she said. "Then trust me too." For a moment their eyes met, and the hall seemed to fade away. The queen then turned back to her council. "That will be all." After the meeting, the queen asked him to meet her privately in the observation chamber. The room looked out into space, where thousands of stars burned quietly. She spoke first. "Last night I saw a vision again, a soldier carrying me through fire. His face was yours." Elias stayed silent. "I have confirmed it," she continued. "My personal physician found an old human medkit near the ruins where I was rescued. It matched the technology used by your division during the war." Elias lowered his head. "Then you already know the truth." "Yes," she said, "but I want to hear it from you." Elias took a deep breath. "It was me. I found you under the ruins of a tower. You were hurt. My orders were to leave, but I could not. You were just another life that needed saving. I did not know you were the enemy princess." The queen looked at him quietly. "You risked your life for someone who should have been your enemy." "Why?" He answered softly. "Because that day, I stopped seeing enemies. I only saw people who were suffering." For a moment, the queen said nothing. Then she walked closer. "You could have killed me. You did not. You gave me life instead. That act changed my path. When I became queen, I remembered the mercy of a human soldier. That memory made me end the war." Elias looked up, surprised. "You ended the war because of that?" She nodded. "Yes. Your mercy was stronger than any weapon. It taught me that peace was possible." Elias felt something shift inside him. He had carried guilt for years, thinking his choice had been meaningless. Now he knew it had saved millions, but their moment of peace did not last. A loud alarm broke through the chamber. Red lights flashed, and a voice from the station system shouted, "Unauthorized access in the lower hangar. Possible sabotage detected." The Queen looked at him. "We must go." They ran through the hallways as soldiers rushed past them. When they reached the hangar, the smell of smoke filled the air. A section of the docking bay had been damaged, and several cargo ships burned. Zirath guards surrounded a group of captured workers. To Elias's shock, one of them was human. The lead guard stepped forward. "We caught them trying to plant explosives, Your Majesty." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "Who ordered this?" Human worker shouted, "You think we want peace? The Zirath will betray us again." The Queen looked coldly at him. "Peace is not betrayal. It is strength." The guard took the prisoners away, but Elias felt uneasy. Something about the explosion seemed too organized. Later that night, he checked the data logs. The access codes used by the saboteurs came from the engineering department, his department. Kara walked in as he stared at the screen. "What is it?" Elias replied quietly. "Someone is trying to make it look like humans attacked the Queen." Kara's eyes widened. That could start another war. He nodded. "Yes. And if we don't find the truth soon, it will." He decided to tell the Queen everything. When he arrived at her chamber, she was standing by the same window as before. "Your Grace," he said, "the sabotage was a setup. Someone wants to break the peace between our people. They used our codes to make it look like humans were responsible." The Queen turned to him. "Do you know who did it?" "Not yet," he said. "But I will find out." She looked thoughtful. "Be careful, Elias Ward. Whoever planned this has power inside my council. You may become their next target." "I am not afraid," he said firmly. The Queen smiled faintly. "That is what I remember most about you, human. You faced fire without fear." Elias nodded. "And you faced hatred with mercy. That is why peace still stands." As he left the chamber, shadows moved behind the walls. A pair of hidden eyes watched him go. In a secret room deep beneath the palace, a group of figures stood around a holographic table. One of them, a tall Zirath with dark armor, spoke in a low voice. "The Queen grows weak because of her affection for the human. It is time to end this illusion of peace." Another voice, calm but cold, replied, "Then we strike soon. Let the human take the blame. When she defends him, her people will turn against her." The light of the hologram reflected off their faces, revealing both alien and human conspirators. Above them, unaware of the danger, Elias looked once more at the stars outside the station window. He felt the calm before another storm. He thought about the Queen's words, about the bond they shared through war and mercy. But he also knew that peace built on secrets could not last forever. The memory of fire still burned in his heart, and he understood that the same fire was returning, this time hidden behind politics and lies. He whispered softly, "If war comes again, I will not let it destroy her." Far below, the conspirators began to prepare their next move, and the fragile peace between two worlds trembled like glass under pressure. The Queen, standing alone in her chamber, looked at the stars and felt a strange fear she could not explain. Something was coming, and once again the fate of two civilizations would rest on the courage of one human. The next few days passed with heavy silence across the great station. The Queen had ordered full security checks and meetings with both human and Zirath representatives. The halls that once echoed with calm conversation now carried whispers of doubt. Elias worked long hours inside the reactor bay, but even there he could feel the change. Guards were posted at every door and people spoke in hushed voices. Some humans avoided the Zirath workers, while some Zirath soldiers refused to look at the humans. The fragile friendship between the two sides was cracking. Kara noticed how tense he had become. "You think they will blame us for the explosion?" she asked. Elias replied quietly, "They already do. The Queen is the only one keeping peace now, but her council is losing faith in her. They think she protects humans more than her own people." "Then we must find the truth fast," Kara said. He nodded. Yes, before someone uses me as their weapon. That evening, the Queen's Council met inside the Grand Hall. The air was heavy with unease. Queen Alara sat at the center, surrounded by her advisors and military officers. A human ambassador stood near the edge of the room, his face pale. A tall Zerath general spoke first. Your Majesty, the evidence is clear. The codes used in the attack came from the Human Engineers Department. It is an act of betrayal. The ambassador raised his voice. That is false. Elias Ward is one of our best men. He would never, the general interrupted. Do not defend him, Ambassador. The data does not lie. Queen Alara lifted her hand for silence. Her eyes moved slowly across the room. Elias Ward saved lives during the war. He helped rebuild this station. I do not believe he is capable of such an act. Another council member replied sharply. With respect, Your Grace. Your personal feelings toward this human may cloud your judgment. The hall fell silent. The Queen's voice remained calm. My feelings do not blind me. They remind me of truth, and the truth is that fear often wears the mask of logic. Still, she could feel the doubt spreading among her people. She ended the meeting early, her heart heavy. Later, as she walked back to her private chamber, a guard rushed toward her. Your Majesty, we have found the human engineer near the communications sector without clearance. The Queen's eyes widened. Bring him here. Moments later, Elias was escorted into the chamber. His hands were bound by light restraints. What were you doing near the communications center? The Queen asked softly. Elias looked tired but calm, trying to stop something before it begins. Someone is sending coded messages to unknown ships outside the system. They are preparing for a strike. The guard frowned. You expect us to believe that? Elias turned to the Queen. You know I would not betray you. I found proof that the sabotage was planned by both human and Zerath extremists. They are working together to end the peace. The Queen studied his face. Where is this proof? In the data crystal I hid in the lower bay, he said. But someone found it before I could reach it. Now they are framing me. Before the Queen could speak, a sharp alarm echoed through the palace. A voice from the intercom shouted, Security breach in the upper level. Possible assassin detected. Guards moved quickly. The Queen ordered, Get him out of here safely. But before they could act, an explosion shook the floor. The lights flickered and the door burst open. Smoke filled the room as armed figures rushed in. Elias grabbed the Queen and pulled her behind a pillar. Blaster bolts cut through the air. The guards fought back, but several attackers managed to slip past them. One of the masked figures aimed directly at the Queen. Without thinking, Elias stepped in front of her and fired his small sidearm. The shot hit the attacker's weapon, knocking it away. The smoke cleared just enough for the Queen to see one of the fallen attackers. His mask broke, revealing a Zerath soldier wearing the insignia of her own guard. Her heart sank. One of my own, she whispered. The surviving attackers escaped through a side door. The Queen turned to Elias. You saved me again. He shook his head. They will not stop until one of us is dead. That night, while the station remained under lockdown, Elias and the Queen met secretly in the old observation deck. Far from the guards, Alara looked out at the stars. I can no longer trust my own council. If they know we speak like this, they will call me a traitor. Elias stood beside her. You should send me away. It would be safer for you, she turned to face him. No. If you leave, they will use your absence as proof of guilt. You must stay and help me uncover the truth. Elias hesitated. If we expose the traitors, they will strike harder. Then let them, she said. Peace built on fear is not peace at all. Her voice was quiet but strong. Elias looked at her and saw the same courage he had seen on that battlefield years ago. He said, There is a data trail in the command network. I can trace it if I can reach the central core. The Queen nodded. Then you will have my access code. He looked surprised. That code gives control over the entire station. I trust you, she said simply. At that moment, Elias understood what her people could not. She trusted him not because he was human, but because she saw in him something she believed all humans carried. The ability to choose hope over hatred. They worked together in secret through the night. Elias connected his data device to the main terminal while the Queen stood watch. Slowly, lines of code appeared, revealing hidden transmissions. The sender was listed under a secret identity known only as Counselor Varric, one of her oldest advisors. The messages included plans to overthrow the Queen and blame the attack on humans. Elias turned to her. He is the one leading the betrayal. The Queen's expression hardened. He was my father's most trusted friend. I should have seen this. Before they could copy all the data, the door burst open again. Guards flooded in, led by Counselor Varric himself. Your Majesty, he said coldly, step away from that human. He is under arrest for high treason. Elias raised his hands. He is lying. He sent the messages. Varric smiled faintly. How convenient that you accuse me while standing at the control console. Perhaps you planned to seize the station yourself. The Queen stood tall. Enough, Varric, I know what you have done. He laughed softly. Then you also know that your people will never believe you. I have the evidence I need. You have grown too weak, Alara. You place your faith in a human instead of your own blood. Guards moved closer, but the Queen held up her hand. No one touches him. Varric's smile faded. Then you will fall with him. He turned and gave a signal. The guards hesitated, unsure who to obey. Elias acted fast. He hit the emergency switch, filling the room with white security mist. He grabbed the Queen's arm and pulled her toward the maintenance tunnel behind the control panel. They ran through narrow corridors. As alarms blared across the station, Varric's voice echoed through the speakers. The Queen has been taken hostage by a human terrorist. Capture them alive. Elias clenched his fists. He turned the entire station against us. The Queen kept her voice calm. We will clear your name. We will clear mine too. They reached the lower decks where Kara was waiting. She looked shocked to see the Queen with him. Elias said quickly, Varric has taken control. We need to reach the outer channel and send the data proof to both councils. Kara nodded. Follow me. I know a safe route. As they moved through dark tunnels, Elias noticed the Queen growing weak. She had been hit by debris during the escape. He helped her walk. You are hurt, he said. It is nothing, she replied, though her voice trembled slightly. Do not stop now. They reached a small communication chamber hidden under the reactor levels. Kara worked quickly to connect the system. We have one chance to send this signal before they trace us. Elias uploaded the data and activated the transmission. But just as it began, the door broke open again. Varric and his soldiers stormed in. Varric shouted, End it now. Elias stepped in front of the Queen. You will not touch her. Varric pointed his weapon. You should have stayed a quiet engineer, human. The Queen raised her voice. Varric, stop this. You are destroying what we built, he laughed. Peace was never real. It was weakness. The Zerath must rule, not bow to humans. Elias moved first. He grabbed a loose energy conduit and hit the wall controls. A burst of light blinded the room. Kara finished the transmission just before the system overloaded. The signal was sent. Varric fired, hitting the control panel. Sparks flew across the room. The Queen fell to her knees, her strength fading. Elias caught her before she hit the ground. Guards rushed in, but the broadcast had already reached the outer satellites. Every council member on both worlds had seen the proof. Varric's betrayal, his messages, his plan to restart the war. Varric froze as the transmission ended. The guards turned their weapons toward him instead. You lied to us, one of them said. The Queen, weak but standing, looked at him with sorrow. You wanted to rule through fear, Varric. But today, fear has lost. He tried to flee, but the guards seized him. Elias helped the Queen to her feet. She looked at him, her eyes soft but full of pain. You saved more than my life, Elias Ward. You saved 2 worlds. He shook his head. Not yet. There is still chaos outside. Then we face it together, she said. As they walked out of the chamber, the alarms began to fade. The truth had been sent. The light of the stars shone once more through the observation glass above them. But the cost of peace had grown heavy, and both knew the hardest part was yet to come. The royal city of Zerath Prime was burning under its own sky. Towers of shining metal glowed red with heat, and the deep hum of collapsing energy cores echoed across the horizon. The rebellion had begun. The traitors within the Zerath Council had joined hands with human extremists who wanted the fragile peace destroyed. What had started as secret whispers now turned into a storm that could erase 2 worlds. Elias Ward stood on the balcony of the Queen's inner palace, his uniform torn, his face marked with soot and blood from earlier battles. His eyes searched the sky where giant ships clashed. He could see human frigates and Zerath battlecruisers exchanging fire, bright flashes tearing through the clouds. He had tried to stop this, but now both sides had fallen into chaos. Behind him, the sound of the Queen's guards echoed through the corridor. Queen Alara stepped beside him, her silver armor faintly glowing from the heat of the flames below. Her eyes were calm but filled with pain. "They will not stop," she said quietly. "Both sides believe they are protecting their honor. They no longer listen to reason." Elias turned to face her. "Then we have to give them a reason. We have to show them the truth." She looked at him with quiet strength. "You mean your plan to broadcast everything? The proof of what the Council and the human faction have done?" He nodded. "If they see the truth, maybe they'll stop fighting. But to reach every system, we need access to the central Nexus core. It's deep under your palace, and it's guarded by your own people." Alara's expression softened. "Then we go together. If this is the end, let it be one that means something." They left the balcony and hurried through the trembling corridors. The palace trembled as explosions echoed outside. Guards loyal to the Queen joined them while others tried to stop them, confused by lies spread by the traitors. Elias and Alara moved through the halls like 2 points of light in a storm, trusting each other completely now. When they reached the lower chambers, a blast door sealed them in. The Queen placed her hand on the wall and glowing lines formed around her palm. The ancient technology responded to her voice, opening the gate with a sound like thunder. Inside lay the Nexus core, a living engine of energy that connected every Zerath world and, through hidden channels, even human networks. Alara looked at the pulsating blue crystal at its center. "Once this message is sent, there will be no going back," she said softly. Elias connected his wrist communicator to the interface. "There's nothing to go back to if we don't stop this." As he uploaded the files, the room filled with holographic images, the secret meetings of the Zerath Council and human extremists plotting the war, the hidden recordings of Alara's advisors lying to her. The messages of fear and hate spread across both species. The Queen watched them in silence. She had known betrayal, but seeing it laid out so clearly broke her heart. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. Lord Serax, once her most trusted general, entered with armed guards. His voice echoed coldly. "My Queen, step away from the human. He has corrupted your mind." Alara raised her weapon but did not fire. "You betrayed your own people, Serax. You wanted war to keep your power. You turned my throne into a weapon." Serax's face twisted with anger. "Peace made us weak. Humanity should kneel before us, not share our sky." Elias stood firm beside her. "You're wrong. Humanity didn't come here to rule. We came to learn, to survive, and to make something better." Serax raised his plasma blade. "Then you'll die as a lesson to every human who dares stand beside a queen." Before he could strike, the Queen moved faster than anyone expected. Her blade met his with a crack of energy. The two clashed in a storm of sparks and fury. Elias backed toward the control panel, his heart racing. He saw that the upload was at 90%. Just a few more seconds. Alara fought fiercely, but Serax was strong, his armor reinforced by experimental energy fields. He pushed her back, his weapon slicing through the air near her face. "You've forgotten what it means to be Zerath," he hissed. "No," she said firmly, locking blades with him. "I have finally learned what it means to be alive." Elias saw an opening and grabbed a fallen blaster from the floor. He aimed and fired at the control column above Serax, not to kill but to distract. The blast rained sparks down and Alara used the moment to strike. Her blade cut through Serax's armor, and the general fell to his knees, defeated. The upload reached 100%. The message went out across both empires. Every ship, every colony, every citizen, human or Zerath, saw the truth. The lies were broken. The war had no reason to continue, but the core was unstable. The overloading energy threatened to destroy the entire palace. Elias turned toward the Queen. "We have to get out now." Before he could move, the energy core exploded in a bright wave. The shock threw him backward. When his vision cleared, he saw the Queen standing in front of him, holding the force field steady with her own power. The glowing light around her body flickered dangerously. "You can't hold it," Elias shouted. Her voice was calm, almost peaceful. "If I let go, the entire planet will fall." "Go, human, live," he shook his head. "No, I won't leave you." She looked at him, her eyes soft and full of sorrow. "Then remember me. Remember that peace was possible because one human refused to hate." The energy burst, throwing Elias back into darkness. When he awoke, he was in a medical unit aboard a human ship orbiting Zerath Prime. The war had stopped. Across the galaxy, leaders from both sides called for unity. The broadcast had changed everything. But when Elias asked about the queen, the silence in the room told him all he needed to know. Weeks passed. Reconstruction began. Monuments were built to honor the fallen. The galaxy began to heal slowly but surely. Elias worked with both humans and Zirath engineers to rebuild the Nexus as a symbol of cooperation. But deep inside he felt an emptiness that words could not fill. One evening he stood by a window overlooking the stars. He whispered quietly, "You kept your promise, Alara. You made them see what we could be." A light flickered on the communicator beside him. A message appeared, a signal from deep space. The words were simple, "Peace survives." "So do I," Elias smiled faintly. He knew that voice. The Queen was alive. Somewhere beyond the edge of the known galaxy she had survived the explosion. He turned toward the stars. "Then I'll find you," he said softly. "Not as a soldier, not as an engineer, but as a friend." And so the story of the human and the alien queen became a legend told across generations. A story of courage, trust, and the moment when one human taught an empire that compassion is stronger than fear. Under the same stars that once witnessed war, a new dawn rose. The galaxy finally understood what it meant to be human.